Hey, Moshe.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Okay, please forgive us. We are 3 minutes late, but we were having, as a discussion here, we were trying to fix the water stain from showing in the background. So we just had you in mind. We want you to know. Okay, so
Stop now?
it is cold, rainy, and dark here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I really thought that I might be here by myself tonight. But we have amazing friends that are troopers and came out in the weather because we are all committed to rising above our weaknesses and stepping into our true power, even when it means that we have to get a little bit uncomfortable in inclement weather. Yes? Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Last week, we kicked off a conversation that is probably going to last us a number of weeks to really dig deeper into the concept, and we're talking about how to rise above our negative thoughts and how to truly transform our negative thoughts, because when we can learn to transform our thoughts, we truly can change our entire life.
Thank you.
So before we go into that discussion, I just want to say, it feels like every Thursday when we're here, there's always some other special occasion that just happened. Like last week, it was first it was the yard side of the Alter Rebbe, then it was the yard side of Rebbe Haim Mushka, and today is the yard side of my Tanya teacher that I was telling y'all about last week, and how I never could understand Tanya until I found from this guy, and I was learning from him online. Like I really felt like I knew him personally, and I have to tell you that a few years back.
Ah, okay.
He started. I mean, years ago. I only learned about him. I learned about him about 10 years ago when I was first connecting to observance. And I first started learning from him Chumash, like the Parsha, the weekly Parsha. And then I found out that he also did a Tanya class. And so I have to tell you that he is one of many, 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 many mentors that I've had throughout the course of my life that they never knew my name. Even though I plugged into them so closely and so deeply that I felt like they were my personal coaches and mentors and advisors, but they didn't know me from Adam because I was learning from them afar. And we have so much access today in the world. We can learn anything we want to learn.
Even English.
Even English!
Without teacher.
For a stupid small amount of money. All it takes is the investment of our time to decide that we actually want to become better and to invest in ourselves.
Exactly.
So I decided that I wanted to learn Tanya because everyone says, Tanya will change your life. And I would read it and it sounded like I was reading a foreign language, even though I was reading the English translation. So I finally started learning from him. But he passed away a few years back, and today is his yard sign. So this is why I'm sharing it. So in the merit of his teaching, he now has, through his gift of being able to take very complicated topics and make them very simple, millions of people around the world have been able to plug into the secrets of Hasidus and Tanya and Kabbalah. So may his neshama have an aliyah. Amen.
What's his name?
His name is Binyamin Gordon. And all of his teachings are on the Chabad.org website. They're in English, but he has tons and tons of them. Of all sorts of different series.
Benjamin Gordon?
Gordon. Yep. Okay, so practical. This is going to be a very, very practical conversation. Okay? We're going to take something that, if we had a slightly different spin on this conversation, it might not even sound Jewish at all. Like, that's how practical it is. Okay?
As in anything Jewish is
Right?
not practical.
Right. Well, some of it, when we get so esoteric, we get lost in ourselves. Okay? Especially me listening to Tanya. I'm like, what? Say it again?
Last night I was in the first class of Tanya with
Yes.
Shmulik.
Okay.
Wow, it was, oh my God. I love it.
It's powerful, right?
It's powerful.
Now we need to say l'chaim to Rose, because Rose, since we started this course, this class back in December, even a month ago, Rose was sitting here saying, I hate my job. I have to find a new job. I hate my job. I have to find a new job. And we all said, well, if you don't like where you are, move.
Mhm.
You're not a tree.
Exactly.
Right? And she was already saying, oh, well, maybe this summer, or maybe da-da-da-da-da-da. Since then, Rose has taken a new job and is just waiting on her start date.
Exactly.
Woo!
Thank you.
Way to go, Rose!
Thanks.
Mazzato,
And I'm
mazzato.
studying English.
And studying English to get better while
Exactly.
she's going. Amazing. Okay, now, back to business.
Yeah.
Of course we know that everything that happens in our life that comes within our sphere of awareness and into our personal experience is there for us. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything is divine providence. We just have to be looking. Every single thing. There is not one thing, from the blades of the grass to the ants in the sidewalk to the clouds that pass the sky, that just happens. Every single thing is literally directed by the hand of Hashem. And everything that we experience is there to make us smarter, better, wiser, stronger, if we're open to the path and to the direction. So that also includes the things that drive us crazy, the things that frustrate us. And interestingly enough, the moment that we become aware to this situation, that everything is there for our growth and character development, the harder it seems to get. And we would think, now I'm aware, knowing is half the battle, so now I can just do, and everything will be fine. So it's almost like, whenever you're playing a video game, not that we all sit around playing video games, but whenever one is playing a video game, you pass a test, you pass a level in the game, what happens?
You pass it.
You go to the next level, but what happens in the game?
Mm-hmm.
It gets harder.
It gets harder. Okay? It gets harder, it moves faster, the music moves faster, it becomes more intense.
You have time, less time.
Yeah, less time, more complications. You get more prizes as you go on and on and on. But it is a freakish representation of real life. Okay? Life truly is a video game. Now, the crazy thing, and also when we're looking at, just let's think for a second of the parallel reality here. We are told by our sages that this is not the real world. We're back. Okay? That was just for extra emphasis. Okay? This is not the real world. What we see around us is just a puppet show. Because of what is truly happening in the higher world, the alternate worlds, in the next world, in Olam Haba, and all the other worlds, that's actual image. That's the actual truth. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not here. Okay? It's not like the Matrix, where we're just here in a figment of our imagination.
But it's like Matrix.
It is. It's very similar. It's freakishly similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when you start going down that rabbit hole, forget it. However, one of the things that is a game changer is when we can truly wrap our head around the fact that this is like a video game. I'm the player, like I'm the star of the show. Everyone else, I've learned from my son, they're called NPCs. I think I shared this with y'all once in the past. And NPC stands for non-player character, which means like you're a sideshow, right? You're a supporting character. You're not the main show.
Talking about the first class.
Yeah, the first class. Okay, so each one of you, each one of us, in our own video game, we're the star. I'm the NPC in your show. You're the NPC in my show. Somebody's the villain. Okay? And our job is to recognize that this is not all there is. when we don't recognize that, we get sucked into the drama again and again and again. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that we realize this is not all there is, this is just a drop in the bucket, it gives us the power to do one thing: to emotionally release. Now, it doesn't mean that I stop caring. It doesn't mean that I check out. It doesn't mean that I become a robot. It means that I don't have to get twisted and stressed and angry and so... Have you ever seen people that get so mad at a football game?
Ah,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay? Or so mad, like my son used to get so angry
Computer game.
playing a video game.
Video games.
Like, dude, it's just a game. Okay? And I also used to be so emotionally connected to my outcome all the time. As a raging perfectionist, this is what we do. Okay? As a control freak, I think mistakenly that the more I dig my claws in, the more I invest my emotional equity into whatever the thing is, if I push harder, if I care more, if I work harder, if I cry more, then it will change the outcome. It doesn't. All that happens is I live my life as a neurotic freak basket case. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it gives us a little bit of, I want you to imagine that you're just putting a layer of protection and a layer of calm between you and the thing, between you and the drama. Now, we talked about the movie Groundhog's Day last week, right? So Groundhog's Day, it's a stupid American movie that on February 2nd, somewhere in England, there was a groundhog that was born, and if you wake up and you see the groundhog on February 2nd, you get 6 more weeks of winter. Really dumb tradition, comes from nothing, okay? However, it turned into this movie that this guy wakes up and every day of his life, he's living the same day over and over and over and over again.
It's one of the best movies of all time.
It's so funny. It's so stupid that you
But
just
it's
have
What's
to...
called?
It's
called
with
Groundhog's
Bill Murray,
Day.
and I love Bill
Okay?
Murray. but-
Now, it's an old movie,
yeah.
but he's the only
concept
one...
has been taken all over the place. Like there are tons of movies that use the
Yes,
concept
yes.
of reliving your
Yes.
life until
Yeah.
you get the point.
You get the point, right? So in this one particular movie, he's the only one that realizes that he's on repeat every day, right? And so, it's just so ridiculous, okay? However, the point is, we will go through that same situation to where we keep recreating our own reality, like same song, different verse, with the same trauma, the same drama, the same stories, the same scarcity, the same lack, the same anger, and we keep bringing these things into our reality over and over and over again because we simply have not learned the lesson to be able to release, rise above, and move on. Okay? So, when we can finally understand that that's actually what's happening, that the whole puppet show is there for us to learn the lesson that I can, and one of my mentors says, you feel, but you don't get entrapped. So the point is not that I become callous, heartless,
Because it's
a
supposed to
cold
feel.
robot. Of course you're supposed to feel. It's the human condition.
Yeah.
Okay, we're supposed to feel. But it doesn't have to eat me for lunch every day, right? I don't have to be consumed with whatever the thing is because that puts me as God. And then everything gets messed up. Okay? Now, where did Groundhog Day come into this conversation? Because when I first started learning this concept, I felt like I was living Groundhog's Day over and over again, trying to escape the trap. Like, I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to get sucked in. I'm not going to get sucked in.
But you're in it.
And then boom, and boom, boom, like every day, falling again and again and again. And that's okay. But what's happening there is we are starting to develop new neural pathways. So every time we think a new thought, it creates a new crease in our brain. Okay? Now, what happens is we have been thinking the same thoughts over and over and over again since childhood. So those neural pathways are so deep into our psyche, we don't even recognize that we think the thoughts on a daily basis. In fact, there's a lot of evidence and research that shows that between 70 and 90% of our thoughts every given day are automatic. And they're the same thoughts that we thought yesterday. Everything from how we get up in the morning, go through our morning routine, get the kids to school, get ourselves to work, how we deal with email, how we deal with our coworkers, how we go through the end of the day, how we pay our bills, how we shop for groceries. Only 10 to 20% of our day requires original thoughts. Okay? This is why even if I get super inspired by a book or a speaker or something, I'm like, yes! Or a new diet or a new nutrition plan or whatever, when I think that thought only one time, it's such a shallow thought compared to those deeply entrenched canals and creases in my brain. And this is why, if I only think it once, I don't write it down, I don't go back and reread my notes. I took notes on the amazing class, but they got shoved in a stack somewhere and I never made it back to reread them. I'm literally a goner. I'm not going to win. Because the odds, just by the way that the brain is wired, there's no way that I can win. Okay? So if we understand that the exact same thoughts have been going through our minds for the last several decades on auto repeat, building neural pathways so deep and wide that you never even know they exist, what happens is that's just become a part of your identity. Remember, just like a fish doesn't know it's swimming through water, and a bird doesn't know it's flying through the air, we are not aware that we are thinking these thoughts that are forming our personality and shaping our entire existence. But here's the thing. You can reshape your entire personality. You can transform your entire identity whenever you want. One of my favorite bands back when I was in high school, I had this crush on this band that was way older than me, but I had a crush on John Bon Jovi. Okay?
Okay.
And now he's like 65 or something, okay? But he was a good 20 years older than me when I was in high school, okay? But I was like, if my husband ever leaves me or he gets hit by a bus, I'm definitely getting married to John Bon Jovi, okay? Never mind, he was already married with kids, but in my mind, this was, okay?
I have this option.
Yeah. Now, why am I telling you that? Because one of the best lines he ever had from any of his music said, never become so stuck on who you are that you miss out on who you were meant to be.
Beautiful.
Okay? And that's what we're talking about here, is we think, oh, this is just who I am.
You can repeat it.
Yes, never become so stuck on who you are that you miss out on who you were meant to be. And how much of our lives do we go through saying, oh, it's just me. It's just who I am. It's just my nature. Got it from my mother. It's just my personality. It's just my family. It's my genes. By the way, this whole, science now shows, and the science of epigenetics shows, that genes have much less to do with our end state than we realized. In fact, our mood, our energy, our thoughts, and our disposition, like our level of stress, our level of anger, and our emotional frequency upgrades or downgrades our genes. And they are much more impactful on our lifespan than the genes that we were born with. Do you understand what this means? The energy we carry in our body is a much greater factor of whether I die from cancer, hospice shalom, versus what I inherited from my mother. So the genes that I carry versus the energy that I carry, and then the food I put into my body. Okay? So if I want to reshape myself, if you knew you couldn't fail, if you literally could become a shapeshifter and become anything you want, who would you dream of becoming? Remember, 20 years is a lifetime. 20 years is a lifetime. So whether you're going to be 80 or 100 or 50 or 40, in 20 years from now, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish if we just figure out how to do what? Shift our thinking. And that's what we're doing here. Okay? Now, remember, all personal development that exists in the world today was given at Har Sinai and written in the Kabbalah, and now it's just become this cool thing to do by the entire world. But we're only getting a very, very, very cheap, watered-down version of how we can actually transform ourselves in reality. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take secrets that Hashem has given us. In fact, He's given them to us as commandments in the Torah. Now, simply by the fact that it was given to us as a commandment, do you know what that means? It means that we must be given the ability to accomplish it. Because He cannot give us a commandment that we can't do. Because how can we be responsible for something that we can't do? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means that we have to unlock the prison of our mind. Because the truth is, our minds are stuck in prison. So unless we learn how to replace these negative thoughts and negative beliefs and incessantly repeating things that are pulsing through your subconscious like blood through our veins, we will never be able to truly let go and reprogram ourselves into who we want to be. So,
Sounds perfect.
okay, now, 5 steps. Okay? Whatever you want to do with your life lies outside of your comfort zone, yes? If anything is outside of if anything is inside of my comfort zone, does it require any of my effort to do? No, I'm on auto repeat. That's what makes it my comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything worth doing, whether it's for myself, my family, or the world around me, is going to be outside of our comfort zone. And purely that realization means I'm going to have to reprogram myself, because we are wired by nature to build a comfort zone around ourselves. This is why goals, new workouts, new diet plans, new finance plans, new ways of speaking, they only last a month-ish at best.
What do you mean? Why?
Because it takes about 21 days to form a habit,
Mm-hmm.
and minimum, to really get it into our psyches, you're talking 3-4 months to a year. You can totally change the way you think to where the way you used to think a year ago is like completely foreign. But it takes a year of consistently doing it.
Exactly.
But that takes work. Nobody wants to work consistently for a year. Where do you see that in today's society?
I don't care.
You don't? Okay, thank God. Takes, you're about 2% of the population. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So, the thing is, no one ever teaches us how to do these things in school. Okay? None of the classes and courses and college things that I ever went through ever taught me these things. But it's so stupid simple. Okay? 5 steps. We're going to go through them starting now. And we're going to get as far as we get. I'm going to answer any questions that you have as we go. And then we'll continue as we need to. Step number 1. Awareness. Okay? The very first thing we must have to take control of our negative thoughts is awareness. Now, think about it. The overwhelming majority of people on the planet are completely clueless to the fact that their negative self-talk is serving as a lid on their life. Us included.
I didn't understand.
Okay? Huh? Say it again?
I didn't understand.
Yes, okay. The overwhelming majority of the population is unaware that our negative self-talk is what's keeping us stuck where we are. Okay? Yet this is a struggle for basically every single human. So if you think back, again, we talked about this very briefly, that negative self-talk starts in childhood. Okay? Whether it was a teacher or a neighbor or a parent where we got shot down and criticized. Because when we are young children, we think we're invincible, right? We want to love everyone. We're always happy.
You have
we
big
believe in the
dreams.
best. Absolutely. And then we just people start shaving away at those,
You never cannot be
right? And so then what happens is we start to build self-defense and self-preservation mechanisms to, into our psyche to really survive in spite of being made to feel small. And then as we move into our adolescent years or college or early adulthood, those negative thoughts, they solidify and they even compound based on how people start to verbally assault us or passive-aggressive relationships. So you get shot down in a job or you get shot down in a relationship. And then what do? We start playing smaller and smaller and smaller. And we start trying less and less and less. And we stop speaking our truth because we don't want to deal with the haters. So the comments and statements like, oh, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too smart, I'm too dumb, I hate my body, what's wrong with me, why can't I ever say the right thing, I wish I came from a rich family, I'll never be pretty enough, or why are my parents never around? And just all these statements, why don't we have enough money, why doesn't he love me, why don't they like me, I'm too much, I'm too quiet, I'm too loud, and whatever these statements are, money doesn't grow on trees. There's no such thing as real love. Relationships never work out. And all of these things that box us in to galut, to brokenness, to where we are living with this very, very depleted, sad version of reality in our mind. And here's the thing. Reality is what you make it. You will never, ever, 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 ever hear me or anyone in our home say, let's be realistic. It is such a limiting thing to say. Okay? Walt Disney used to say, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. And that's where we want to set the bar, because impossible is also what we make it. Okay? So, now, if we can understand and just wake up to this awareness that we, at that point, are about 20% of the way on our road to recovery. And I use this word recovery very intentionally because, in my opinion, from my personal experience, recovering from a lifetime addiction to negative thoughts can be just as freeing and empowering from recovering from other toxic patterns like eating disorders, alcohol, bad relationships. And I know these things from personal experience, and these are not words that I use lightly. The struggle is real. But knowing that we have this demon to fight, it doesn't just automatically give us the magic cure. Okay, that's where steps 2 to 5 come in. So I want to give you a little bit of homework. Okay? And I want you to think about this throughout the week. We're not going to stop here. We're going to keep going. But I want to give you a little bit of homework, okay? I want you to casually think back over your childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, working life, okay? From your birth until now. And I want you to take a mental poll of your negative thoughts and where you think they came from. Okay? So I want you to go back, and this is a bit of an exercise. So many people, when they start thinking through this the first time, they can't find the origin. They've been a part of them for so long that they don't even remember where they first came from. But let me tell you why this is important. Because when you can clearly identify the enemy, it automatically loosens the grip.
But also negative thoughts and also come like from like how you feel.
Good.
Like the moment feeling, you know? Like when you're happy, you're like amazing, so you don't have any problem. But
Say it
then,
again.
like when you're so happy with anything going on in your life, then you don't have problem or you don't have negative thoughts. But when you're like in a bad situation, you have like a bunch of negative thoughts.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So I'm not.
it's also like emotional.
It's very emotional, and they go in waves. People don't. You're not sitting around thinking negative thoughts all day, every day. Okay. People, well, some people do. Okay. It depends on phase of life. It depends on who's the relationship at the time. It depends on how
The
much you're
people
working
next to
on
you.
getting
Like
out of your
factors.
comfort zone. And remember, you become like the 5 people you hang around the most. Okay? First time I heard that, I got whiplash. You know, like looking around to see who it was. And there have been times when I've been working on really big goals that I have had to remove myself from certain circles so that I wouldn't feel guilted into staying in old patterns that were not going to serve me getting to my new goal. Because again, when you know, misery loves company. And whenever you're deciding to reinvent yourself, whoever you're around comfortably in that season is not going to like it because they're going to get left behind. So you either have to realign or reassign, which means you and him or her are going to have to realign your relationship around these new values, philosophies, goals, aspirations, or you're going to have to reassign your friends and relationships to where they are not the ones that are breathing into your life the most. Okay? So there have been times where I've had to say, I love you. I will see you in 6 months. Okay? And I said, and no, nothing, it's not you, it's me. Right? Nothing to do with you, but I'm working on a huge goal and I'm really going to have to be focused.
You tell that to people? Really?
Absolutely.
Do you see them in 6 months?
No.
I do see them in 6 months, and I realize I don't want to go back.
Oh, interesting.
Because the amount of change that happens, and then it happens again in 10 years. And then I go back to those people, and I see them 10 years later, and they're still talking about the same story and the same people that they were talking about when I was there with them 10 years ago. You know, it's been said, what's the old saying that small people talk about people? Average people talk about things, and great people talk about ideas, right? So we're coming to realize that you do not have to live as a perpetual prisoner in your own mind, limited by whatever is your current reality. Okay? We are all very, very, very good at manifesting. We are manifesting everything around us all the time. These are laws of human nature that whether or not we are aware of them, whether or not we believe in them, it doesn't change their power in our daily life. Right? And we talked about these a few weeks. Y'all remember now the 3 laws of manifestation? What's law number 1?
If you think that you create it,
Yes, law of attraction. Right? Which means that if we think it, our thoughts create our reality. Law number 2 is the law of action. Got to get your bum in gear. Because I can sit around and think great thoughts all the time, but if the size of my work ethic does not match the size of my dream, then my dream is nothing more than just a wish. And then, what's the third one?
Keep doing it.
The law of gestation. Exactly right. Because this is the one we cannot control. This is the one from Shemaiah. And the example is the gestation period of a goat baby, a human baby, and an elephant baby. So a goat baby takes 5 months to grow from inception to birth. Human baby takes 9 months to grow from inception to birth. And an elephant baby takes 2 years. So if I'm the elephant and I'm comparing myself to the goat and the human, I'm like, I'm such a loser. What is wrong with me? I'm so far behind. Meanwhile, I'm giving birth to something so much bigger. There's no comparison. Okay? And if you quit, you never know if you're 5 minutes from your miracle. So we have to have our thoughts in the right spot. But remember, it's not just our thoughts. Our thoughts and our words are only half of it. The other piece is the level of emotion that we are assigning to those thoughts and words. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there?
Yes.
So everything you're thinking throughout the day comes with a certain level of emotional frequency. Do you agree? So if whatever I'm thinking it haphazardly.
I'm sorry.
If I'm thinking it haphazardly, then there's almost no emotional oomph behind it. Someone gives me a compliment. Oh, thanks. You did a great job today. Oh, thanks. I had a victory. Yay. Remember, it's the negativity bias versus the positivity bias. But yet the negative things that happen are if someone criticizes me, or if I fail in something, or if I feel like I have a failure experience, how much emotional frequency do I assign to those? So whatever is the most recurring emotional energy that I carry in my body is what I am recreating over and over and over again as my reality. So if I am really going through life thinking life is good, life is amazing, Baruch Hashem, thank you, thank you, thank you, guess what I'm going to bring into my life? More and more and more. Now, I could have all the same drama happening. I could still not have any money in the bank. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent tomorrow, but Baruch Hashem, look, I have eyes and ears and nose and organs and a bed and a car, and Baruch Hashem. And guess what's going to happen? If I'm really living in that energy, Hashem is going to continue to knock my socks off with miracles and abundance over and over and over again. But if I'm saying, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, something's going to come up, Baruch Hashem, woe is me, Baruch Hashem, how you doing? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, I'm alive. What am I recreating? The same. Wah, wah. I'm Eeyore. I'm literally Eeyore. And I'm creating mediocrity in my life, and I'm creating survival. I'm not thriving. I'm surviving. Okay? So important. When you ask yourself, which is more important, the energy I carry or the words I speak and think? You pick one.
It's the same, no?
They're the same.
Yeah.
Well, they're very different, but they're equally important. You have to have both of them together. So our single greatest test of all times is reprogramming that. And the Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya, you know how you do it? We all have the power to do it. Flick it away like this. Flick. Flick. Don't give it life. That's the biggest mistake we make, is we fester on it, and we try to fix it, and we try to solve it, and why? Why? Why is this happening? What does it mean? I don't understand. Why? And we are just making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because we're giving it life instead of just flicking it away and replacing the thought. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that I'm Pollyanna or I'm like putting my head in the sand and ignoring my problems, but remember, whatever you focus on grows.
I have a question.
Okay? Yeah.
So yeah, energy is all, and I do believe in it. Like, it's true.
Uh-huh.
However, what about the millions of persons that they don't have to suffer exactly, but they suffer more than others?
Uh-huh.
which happens. Or people that, for example, don't have kids.
Uh-huh.
Even if they think I want a kid, okay, they will get a kid, but it's not their kid, you understand? Because they can't have kids. So it's not biologically their kids.
Sure.
Or this kind of situation of people that have like missions in life, like tikkun. The tikkun they have to come here to solve from another life or something like that. What happens with that?
So there's a couple things there. First of all, we are not here to solve the mysteries of the world, of how Hashem puts things together. And what we have to remember is that we are only seeing one scene of a movie. So when we are looking at current reality and saying, why do bad things happen to good people? Or why do people have different struggles? It's like literally walking into a movie, halfway through, you see someone get shot and you think, oh! And we have no idea what happened before or after. Maybe he was a bad guy, maybe he was a good guy, I have no idea. And we're only seeing one scene of who knows what happened in the 6 lifetimes before and everything else that comes along with it. That's not our place to judge. However, when you start really studying bitachon and the daily WhatsApp audio that I shared with all of you, he will help you retrain and reprogram your mind. Huh?
I haven't heard it.
Of course you haven't. Okay. By the way, a friend of ours started making a daily bitachon class in Hebrew. And what he's doing is he's just translating the one guy, he speaks in a very yeshivish language, so it's English, but he's throwing a lot of Yiddish in, and it's sounding very yeshivish. And so this Israeli friend of ours started making it in like very common, I can't tell you if it's good or not because I don't speak Hebrew, but he seems to be getting a lot of...
I opened the group, by the way.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, is it good?
Wow, it's perfect.
Amazing.
I can tell you that it's basically...
Raz.
Ah, that's right.
Why they don't do it in English?
So it's
It's already
basically...
in English. I already shared it with you like 5 times.
And he translates the same classes.
Yeah. Okay.
רז
So it's-
מתרגם את זה? כן.
בעברית כן יש קבוצה.
וואלה.
שלחתי בקבוצה של להראות את הקישור אם מישהו רוצה להצטרף.
I'll share with you again.
Okay, thanks.
So it's 10 minutes every day.
Can
that
you send me
guy.
one,
Ah,
but
yes,
can
I
you
know.
send me the
Yeah.
like intro to the
Of course.
stuff and forward it to my mom?
Absolutely.
אין בעיה.
I'll put it in our group. I'll forward the Israeli link into
I'm
our
gonna
group.
bring you the link and you're gonna put it on the group.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So whether you prefer English or Hebrew, I don't have Spanish yet. I don't have Russian, but at least we've got 2 languages. Okay. Now, what's the point? Bitachon, and when we really start to reprogram our mind with the power of true bitachon in our life, it's almost mamash a shortcut. I feel a little bit guilty knowing that this is how easily we can reprogram our reality just by plugging into bitachon properly. I feel like how is 5,800 something years and this is all it took? It's just bitachon? Like, it's crazy. But it's working. Okay, now, I can tell you, I worked on myself for a good 10 years to where I can tell you that these 5 steps are bulletproof. They're stupid simple, and when you hear them, you're like, that's it? There's got to be more. There's not. Okay, so what's step 1?
Awareness.
Awareness. Are we all now aware?
Yeah.
Yes, and you're all going to go home and you're going to work this week looking on what are my limiting beliefs. It doesn't even have to be negative. What are my limiting beliefs and where did they come from? Okay? So, what's the next step?
Number 2.
Number 2, yes. Analysis. Okay? We want to take a detailed analysis of any toxic thoughts, limiting beliefs, or negative influences on our life. Okay? Say it again. Toxic thoughts, limiting beliefs, or negative influences on our life. Now, step number 2 is analysis, but I want you to write the word detailed analysis in front, okay? And this is an extremely important step because it will give you the specific details of how frequent and how deep those influences are in your life, okay? You also want to get clear on the exact nitty-gritty of what those messages are. So I'll give you an example. We all have limitations in different areas of our life. Some of us naturally do well in some areas, and some of us struggle in those areas, while other things are very easy to us. Now, if I make a lot of money, but I am a jerk to my kids, am I healthy? No.
No.
Why not? Okay. If I am struggling physically to where I'm in and out of the hospital all the time, I'm on 15 different prescriptions, even though I am a good person and I don't care so much about money, let's say, am I healthy?
No.
No, I'm not. If I get all my bills paid, I don't live in debt, I make ends meet,
You what?
I make ends meet, which means like I'm able to pay the bills, I'm surviving, okay?
It's not that way.
I'm a good person, okay? I do my best. But I've never been able to break through, and I struggle with beliefs about money. I have a poverty mindset. Am I healthy?
No.
No. So we all have different limitations that influence different areas of our life. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So this detailed analysis helps me to do, now I have to unplug from myself a little bit. I have to zoom out to a 30,000 foot view, and I have to be able, it's called the observer effect. So I have to be able to detach from my story and all the yeah buts where we rationalize and justify everything in our situation, and we just look void of the emotion and void of the attachment and just look at the snapshot. Are you with me on this?
Mm-hmm.
And that detailed analysis, I will tell you that it helps to kind of start, take a log, like whether you keep a note on your phone or you have a little small spiral notebook in your bag, but just a little tracker so that throughout the week you're going to be, as you really, let's say that you take 10 minutes a day for the next week and you just sit on this. Okay? You might be like, I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I'm pretty, things are okay. I'm decent. I mean, I got things to be grateful for. Baruch Hashem. Okay? My life isn't falling apart. Baruch Hashem. There's a lot of starving kids in Africa. And there's a war in Eretz Israel. So Baruch Hashem, I'm alive. I'm safe. Okay? So we really have to look at what is limiting me. If I could not fail, and if I knew I couldn't fail, and I were living in my superhuman status, which is just me in my full greatness, what would it look like? How would I walk into a room? How would I carry myself? How would I speak about myself? How would I introduce myself? How would I speak to my spouse? How would I speak to my kids? How would I speak to my parents? How would I speak to all the people that trigger me? How would I speak to the stranger, to the postman, to the grocery guy? What would I do with my day? How would I spend my time? What would be different if I were living truly at the top of my game in my true greatness? Not from ego. It's a big difference. But if I were living in the full power that Hashem gave me to be able to make my impact on this world of why Hashem sent me into the planet right now. Are you with me on the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I recommend that you do this for a solid week. Okay? And if you want to do a double whammy,
To do what?
you're going to start to do this detailed analysis of what's limiting you. In other words, what's keeping you from that true greatness.
That's a homework.
Okay? So now you have 2 levels
We
of
have 2
homework,
things.
right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
can you write it to
Okay.
WhatsApp, please?
Bring notes. I am not your secretary. Okay? You're going to do the work on yourself. No one's going to spoon feed you greatness.
That's the
Okay.
law of action.
Hello. Okay. Hello, as my husband says. Hello.
Isn't it to me?
Hello, hello.
Okay. Now, I want to just remind you that the first couple days of doing this may feel very hard. Like, you're thinking, I got nothing. Nothing's coming up. I can't think of anything. And this is literally all the forces of your self-preservation at work to keep you where you are. Because your ego, it's called your ego body, your sense of self does not want to give up the reins of your life. That comfort zone that has you exactly right there. Okay? And they're going to make sure, like that old you, the sense of self, that ego body that has you right where you are right now, is going to do everything, and it's going to raise its ugly head and do all sorts of things because they know that if you wake up to this truth, they're going to be required to change. And we don't want that. Okay? But if you stick with this toward the end of the week, your brain will start to hand you over all the goods.
I mean,
Okay.
when you said them, you mean Yetzirah?
Like all those different pieces of you, all those past experiences,
Like
and
voices.
the voices, and it's called your ego body. Okay? And it's all those past layers of you that are competing to stay in control. They want to be front and center. Okay? It's not like schizophrenia, but it's a little bit like it because that's what's actually happening with all the self-talk in our mind. Okay? And soon, if you just have to be more stubborn. Okay? Have you ever heard there's an analogy that I may not be smarter, I may not be better, I may not be any of those things compared to the next guy, but I'm simply more stubborn. I'm
More what?
simply more
Stubborn.
persistent. Like, I will die on the treadmill working to get better versus saying, I quit, I give up. So simply sticking with it will allow you to outlast all these other past layers of you that are going to right now have a death grip on your reality because they don't want to have to move to the back seat. Right? So, step 1, awareness. Step 2, analysis. Okay? Now, those are the 2 things you're gonna work on this week. And next week we're gonna start with step 3.
So what was the homework again?
The homework is you are reviewing where your negative limiting thoughts and influences started from, right? Like back to your childhood, okay? And most of us, if we think back through, we have a few experiences. Maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a friend in the neighborhood, or something that started those where we start to minimize ourselves. Okay? So that's the first piece. And then the second piece is the detailed analysis of what... Yes. Okay? The detailed analysis of what it is, those toxic thoughts, limiting beliefs, or negative influences. Remember, you become who you are by the books you read, the people you associate with, and the arenas in which you invest your time. And as we start to do a roll call, each one of us has a committee that sits on our life. I call it the life committee. And these are the people in our life that whenever we go to make a decision, maybe it's a small decision or a big decision, they vote on our decisions. And when we stop to take a conscious roll call. Like, why are you on my committee? I don't even like you. But yet we're letting them vote on our life decisions. Why do we do it? Because it's our comfort zone. And remember, comfort zone doesn't mean that you love it. Remember, y'all, 80% of the grandchildren of Yaakov Avinu stayed in Mitzrayim and died in the 9th plague rather than go to Gula, than leave Egypt. 80%. They had all the revelations in front of them. It was so obvious. But why didn't they do it?
Afraid.
They were afraid of the unknown. And they were comfortable here. At least we know what to expect. Over there, we don't know what to expect, so I can't be bothered. Do you understand? It's sick. It's a sickness that we have. But when we become aware, we start to do our analysis, and we're going to go through this active reprogramming, you can change any of it.
But it takes time. It's a process.
It's a marathon. And this is why most people don't do it, because we're looking for a quick fix.
Like Yeshuat Hashem K'eref Hain, so like...
We want a microwave mentality
Yeah.
to everything.
Yeah.
And it's the death of our society. And it's why we, as a generation, have become so weak. Because we can't be bothered. Okay, it's 9 o'clock on the nose.
Thank you so much.
Love y'all.
Thank you. Bye bye.